If you truly believe in liberation, you have to cover everybody.
Hi, I'm George M. Johnson, a best-selling author with the second most banned book in America. In this week's episode of my new podcast, Fighting Words, I talk with the iconic actress Gabrielle Union about some of her pivotal roles and how to be a good parent in the face of today's backlash against Black and queer communities.
If you are more concerned about what your fellow racists think about you, you've already lost.
Listen to Fighting Words on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey sis, it's Dr. Joy from Therapy for Black Girls. We've had 400 episodes of conversations, growth, and healing. So we're celebrating. Join us for a special episode with internationally recognized yogi, Chelsea Jackson Roberts, as she shares wisdom on mindfulness, movement, and motherhood.
I waited later to have children, and I still have exactly what I knew that I wanted.
You don't want to miss this special episode. Listen to Therapy for Black Girls on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Tickets are on sale now, y'all, for our 2025 iHeart Country Festival, presented by Capital One, happening Saturday, May 3rd at the Moody Center in Austin, Texas. Don't miss your chance to see Brooks and Dunn, Thomas Rhett, Rascal Flatts, Cole Swindell, Sam Hunt, Megan Maroney, Bailey Zimmerman, Nate Smith. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Are you hungry? Colleen Witt here, and Eating While Broke is back for season 4 every Thursday on the Black Effect Podcast Network. This season, we've got a legendary lineup serving up broke dishes and even better stories. On the menu, we have Tony Baker, Nick Cannon, Melissa Ford, October London, and Carrie Harper Howie turning Big Macs into big moves. Catch Eating While Broke every Thursday on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite shows. Come hungry for season 4.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheekies, and I'm back with a brand new season of your favorite podcast, Cheekies and Chill. I'll be sharing even more personal stories with you guys, and as always, you'll get my exclusive take on topics like love, personal growth, health, family ties, and more. And don't forget, I'll also be dishing out my best advice to you on episodes of Dear Cheekies. It's going to be an exciting year, and I hope that you can join me. Listen to Cheekies and Chill Season 4 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, everyone. It's Amanda Rieger Green. Welcome to Soul Sessions, and welcome to April. We are in a new month with beautifully new energy, but it may not feel like it yet. So just trust the process and know something beautiful is regenerating. It's a month of regeneration. And we've been reorienting. And this, of course, I sound like retrograde station because Mercury and Venus are still retrograde. And they're retrograde at the beginning of the month. So the first and the second weeks of April are still like replaying old stories within yourself and around you that may feel stagnated and tremendous inertia. Trust the inertia. If you remember what I said, the theme of March it was surrender to the mystery. We're still in it. That surrendering to the mystery that feels elusive, out of reach, that energy is very much still in the field. Do not allow it to discourage you or create an abundance of self-doubt where you fall deep into fear and cover your head up and shrink down small and give up. Any kind of overwhelming fear, depression, overwhelm that you may be experiencing in any area of your life, it is where your soul is saying, hey, you've got it in you, go deeper. Can you truly believe that you are capable of magical things, that you are uniquely and divinely made? Trust that. I want to share something with you, and I'm pulling it up on my phone as we speak. So this is kind of funny, and I'm laughing as I say it. For years, I have subscribed to Joel Osteen's Daily Word, the Daily Word with Joel Osteen. It's a newsletter that I get daily, and it has a Bible scripture and then the message after it. And I'll tell you this. Let me tell you the genesis of this. Joel Osteen used to drive me nuts. Okay. Shout out to Joel Osteen. I truly respect him. I think he is incredible at what he does. He's a brilliant orator, and he's definitely that pastor, preacher, orator type, but he's wicked intelligent in the way that he talks about God and the supernatural. And I tell you what, he comes in the context of his Christianity and the Bible, but he reads in the supernatural that exists in the Old and the New Testament, and he blows my mind. But years ago, after I had gotten married, moved to Austin, I had Sirius XM in my work car. And in the morning when I was headed, I used to have to drive a lot. I oversaw multiple offices and locations. So some days I'd have to drive to San Antonio, some days to Temple, Texas, or Austin, or New Braunfels, wherever I was going. So I'd be in the car, and of course I'd have work calls and everything. But I would allot 25 minutes and I would turn it on to Joel Osteen radio, and I would listen to one of his sermons. And it would literally, like, he would build me up. I would listen to the message, and he always started out with a joke that cracked me up. And they're cheesy jokes, but they would make me laugh, because this laughter that I felt, he inspired the heck out of me, and he was so clever and creative. He is so clever and creative. But anyway, I started subscribing to his daily word, I don't know, like a decade ago, and I get it every day, and I read it every morning because it's poignant. And let me read today's to you, because I feel like it hits the nail on the head, not only for April, but these first couple of weeks of the month. And I hope it resonates with you. So bear with me. The scripture for today is, "For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." And that is from James chapter 1, verse 3. And here's the message. Develop your character. Amanda, too often we put conditions on God and on our prayers. God, I will be happy if my boss moves to the backside of Mars. When you get him out of my life, I'll have a good attitude. Have you ever thought that God is just using that person to grow you up, to develop your character, to teach you to love those who are not so lovable? Instead of saying, God, get me out of this situation, I'm asking you to pray, God, come into this situation. Help me to have a good attitude. Help me to do the right thing when the wrong thing is happening. It's very powerful when you can say, God, if this person or situation never changes, thank you that you've given me the strength to overcome, the power to be happy in the midst of my difficulties. I'm not going to let this person, this sickness, this injustice take my joy. Now you're growing and coming up higher. Sometimes God is waiting for you to pass the test. Then he's going to bring you out. And I love that for us. I love that facing the fear, the challenge, the problem, the situation, the toxic relationship, the insecurity, the poor health condition, and saying, God, help me with this. God, what is this teaching me? God, let me invite you in. And I have shared this story before, and I'm going to share it again because it feels poignant and rich and true. And it was a game changer in my life. About 10 years ago, and I'll tell you when it was 2013. So more than 10 years ago, man, that's a long time. 2013, after I had gotten sober and I went back to work, it was a series of radical alchemical transformation, surrender, fear, beauty, suffering, pain. And it was this new life being born, and something new was born inside of me. When I went back to work after being in a treatment facility, I was living in a halfway house, in a sober women's house. I had all sorts of consequences as the results of my actions. But I went back to work, and I was so fortunate to have the job that I did, and they accepted me back. And they changed up my reporting structure, And they had me reporting to the woman that had, quote unquote, been my arch nemesis. And she was not my arch nemesis. I'm just defining her that way because those were the eyes in which I saw her when I was in my active alcoholism and addiction and in such pain and suffering. I was I was angry at the world, and there was suffering and victimhood and rage. And she was one of those people that demonstrated to me that, well, if you would just do this right, like all of that pain in me. Well, when I got back to work, they said, well, we're changing this and you're going to be reporting to her. And I remember when I got back and they shared that with me, I said, okay. I mean, I was in this place of acceptance. I was just so happy to be back at work and start to make a living amends for my behavior, and that I had a place to go and to show up to work and to do my job and to do it to the best of my ability with a changed and joyful and accepting heart. So I said, okay, I got it. I'm going to make lemonade out of lemons. And I did. And I was fearful and insecure, but I showed up and kept showing up and praying and accepting guidance and doing what I was doing in my program. So I had all of these parameters, so to speak, and this is going to relate to the numerology this month, the parameters, because we're in a 4-month and a 9-year. So I'm going to bring all this back to the astrology and the numerology and the energy. But anyway, it came time for my annual review, and she was going to be in charge of that review. And I tell you what, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this woman's going to run me into the ground. Even in my alcoholism and addiction, I still seem to get good reviews. I was a functioning alcoholic until I wasn't, right? And performed well at work, did well at my job, even though I was broken and suffering. And I know you all can relate to that out there when we show up and show out in the world, but on the inside, within ourselves, we are broken and hurting and suffering, but we put a smile on our face and we tap dance for the world. That was a huge part of my identity and story. I had lived in extremes. I had lived a double life. On the outside, I was performing and showing up and doing the best from my heart and my talents. And on the inside, I was broken and suffering, and the center wouldn't hold. I couldn't. And then when it broke, and it broke painfully and publicly. And it was the best brokenness, the best gift I could have ever had. But anyway, the review's coming up. And I remember I called the woman that was really supporting me through my journey. And it was the day of that review, and I was sitting in my office, and I said, I've got my review today. And I was like, she's just going to hammer me. And I was like, what if she gives me a terrible review and then they have cause to fire me? And, and she says, have you been doing your job? Have you been showing up well? And I said, oh my gosh, better than ever. I'm here at 7:30 in the morning with a clear head and an open heart. I love the people I work with. We've made a lot of changes. It's all going well. I'm doing a good job. I'm happy. People are happy around me. I'm getting along with her to the best of my ability, even though sometimes we clash in personality and she does not like me. She's going to rip me a new one. I was so scared. And this woman said to me, Amanda, can you do me a favor? And I said, yes, anything for you. Because anything this woman suggested to me, I really took it to heart. And I took it to heart because I was a little bit afraid of her, because I really, really trusted and believed in her. And also I was learning to trust and believe in myself. And she says, well, do you have a higher power? And I said, of course. She said, has evidence shown you in the last 6 or 8 months that when you put your faith and trust in God, and when you ask for God's help, your higher power's help, that God shows up? And I said, yes. And she said, tell me some things. And so we went through some circumstances. I gave her some evidence. And she says, what makes you think this is any different? Going into this is just a test, but are you going to invite God in to this situation, or are you going to do it through your own self-will and your own determination and your own fear? And I said, I'm going to invite God in. She said, then do just that. And she said very simply to me, when you go, or where are you doing your review? And I said, in her office. She says, does she have 2 chairs in front of her desk? I said, she sure does. She says, when you plop yourself down in that chair, in that other chair next to you, you invite God. You invite your higher power. Can you do that, to sit down with you and be in that review, be in that meeting? I said, I can do that. And just in that suggestion of, hey, you're going into this and you are equipped with divine forces. Do you accept that when you go in there and you go in with your higher power and that faith, that whatever happens, you are going to be okay. It is God's will, not your will. You're just showing up and you are being true to yourself. And whatever unfolds as a result of that, you've got the forces of the divine. I said, I can do that. I feel it. I believe it. And you all know how this story ends. It ends with miracles. And more than anything, it ended with grace. Like grace, pure grace, right? I walk into the review. I sat down, and as we started to go through things and talk, this woman gave me grace. She talked about my recovery journey and how amazed she was by me and how strong I had been and how astounded she was at how bold and honest that I went and got help, that I went to treatment, and that I had come back and I was getting my life in order. She talked about how much she respected me. She praised me for the things that I had done well in our department. She gave me constructive feedback in a couple of areas where maybe I could do things a little differently or work better. But overall, the review was great. Like, it was good. But it wasn't about the review. It was that this woman was kind to me and she was honest with me, and it was a game changer because I not only walked out of there feeling more secure and comfortable in my own skin and surrounded by the divine, it felt miraculous. And that grace flooded through me, that gift that I didn't deserve. Grace is a gift we don't deserve that is freely given. And after that, my heart changed around her. It wasn't about the review. It was about my fear of her, my old prejudices against her, my own delusions, my own anger, my own pain that I had projected onto her. And it forever changed my heart. And I respect her to this day. I appreciate her to this day. We didn't become best buds, but we became closer as a result. And I have many stories like that. But this is a month, April of 2025, is a month to invite God in, not shut God out. Invite your soul, your higher self in, your guides, your angels, and invite your higher power in every day. This is the kind of month where I would encourage you to, in the morning, right when you wake up, do your prayer and meditation and invite God in. And the simplest way for that is, thy will, not mine, be done today. Hey, higher power. Hey, soul, come into my life today. You guide and direct the show. And I will have the power to carry out that will. I will have the power to carry out those divine actions and know that I am safe, secure, and divinely directed. This is a day at a time kind of month. So let's hop into the numerology. We are in a 9 universal year in a 4 month. And if you all know me, you know I love the 9-4 combination. And what I love about it is it's ordered, organized, and directed. It's kind of like a get her done month. The 4 is about quality-oriented action. It's about setting clear goals and taking steps each and every day towards those goals. Not about overachieving and overwhelm. It's more about setting clear, realistic goals that are attainable and doing practical things within your daily framework to add value to or to pursue those goals and to feel the sense of satisfaction that comes through simple action. Step by step, that's the energy of the 4. And with the 9, it takes it up an octave. Because the 9 says, is this goal, is this aim in your highest integrity? And I'm not suggesting you set unattainable, unreachable, wild, idealistic goals, because the energy, the astrology and the energy will trick you into that, because Mercury and Venus at the start of the month are still retrograde and both of them are in Pisces. So we've got this Piscean energy that has that creative, dreamy, divine, a little bit elusive, confusing, disorienting energy that can fake us out a little bit and be impractical. We want to use that energy, but we don't want to delude ourselves. So clear goals this month. This is a wonderful month to set the kind of intention or goal around, okay, over the course of the next 30 days, I'd like to accomplish this and this. Maybe 2 things that are attainable, not unattainable goals. So whether it's around cleaning out your garage, or it is starting a new health routine and not an unattainable one and an overly idealistic one or unrealistic one, but setting a couple of attainable goals, like finishing up a project maybe that you have been really exhausted with. For goodness sakes, it's tax month. Hello, like get your tax. I'm going to get my taxes done by the 15th or whatever tax day is. I don't know. I just am wrapping up my taxes as we speak. And that is like sing a joyful noise, but it may be taxes. And the 4 is a number of finances. It's a number of balancing your budget. So maybe a goal is, I'm going to really balance my checkbook, and maybe I'm going to clean up some of those, extemporaneous subscriptions that I have. We all know that we have all those subscriptions to things these days that just really, I'm not using. I'm not watching anything on XYZ network. I'm going to cancel that for the next 3 months or indefinitely until there's a show I want to watch. Maybe it's little things like that. Just I'm going to go through my subscriptions and I'm going to eliminate a couple that are not adding value or not necessary in my day-to-day. Things that feel superfluous. So set a couple of goals for yourself that are practical and attainable that you can sit down and do or work towards over the course of this month. And the energy of the 9 is about eliminating waste, and it's surrendering to the process. And together, this combo is pretty magnificent, and it's very productive. I find it productive in day-to-day tasks. And I hope that you all can right now just hit pause and jot down those 2 goals. Do it now. Hit pause. If you're driving, be careful or whatever. If you're operating a crane while you're listening to this, hopefully you're not. Or, doing heart surgery, hopefully you're not. I'm teasing about that. But stop, pause, and say, what are my 2 goals this month? And they should be quick and easy things that come to you. I want to accomplish this. I've been putting this off. And like I said, it could also be finishing up a project, closing something out. And then in each day, how can you work towards attaining those? And I will tell you something funny. I bet you anything, one of those goals you knock out in the next week or so. You know what? It's like you set those goals and boom, you did it. And let that be enough. Don't set 5 more goals. That is the energy of the 4 in its shadow. It's like, well, I accomplished these goals. Let me set 10 more. So be mindful of the satisfaction and fulfillment that comes with successful and quality-oriented completion of something. That is the energy. And also, remember what I said at the beginning, invite God into the successful completion of those goals and give those results to the divine, to God. Surrender the results to your higher power. Regeneration and surrendering the results to your higher power are the biggest themes of April.
Sometimes as dads, I think we're too hard on ourselves. We get down on ourselves on not being able to, we're the providers, but we also have to learn to take care of ourselves. Wrap away, you got to pray for yourself as well as for everybody else, but never forget yourself. Self-love made me a better dad because I realized my worth.
Never stop being a dad. That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I'm Camila Ramon, Peloton's first Spanish-speaking cycling and tread instructor. I'm an athlete, entrepreneur, and almost most importantly, a perreo enthusiast.
And I'm Liz Ortiz, former pro soccer player and Olympian, and like Kami, a perreo enthusiast. Come on, who is it? Our podcast, Hasta Abajo, is where sports, music, and fitness collide, and we cover it all, de arriba hasta abajo. Sit downs with real game changers in the sports world, like Miami Dolphins CMO Priscilla Shoemate, who is redefining what it means to be a Latina leader.
It all changed when I had this guy come to me. He said to me, you're not Latina enough. First of all, what does that mean?
My mouth is wide open. Yeah.
history makers like the Zucker family, who became the first Peruvians to win a Grammy.
It was a very special moment for us. It's been 15 years for me in this career. Finally, things are starting to shift into a different level.
Listen to Hasta Abajo on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Presented by Capital One, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
If you are more concerned about what your fellow racists think about you, you've already lost.
Hi, I'm George M. Johnson, a best-selling author with the second most banned book in America. Now more than ever, we need to use our voices to fight back. And that's what we are doing on the Fighting Words podcast. Listen to my new episode with the iconic Gabrielle Union. We clear the air about a recent controversy with actor Matthew Lawrence, who claims she reported him on set for refusing to run lines with her.
This is like 2 husbands ago. Like, what are we even talking about?
And I ask her what it's like raising a trans daughter during Trump's second term.
When you offer up the trans community as a sacrificial lamb, if you open the doors to say, well, take these people, now the door is open and they coming for everybody.
Listen to Fighting Words on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheekies, and I'm back with a brand new season of your favorite podcast, Cheekies and Chill. I'll be sharing even more personal stories with you guys. And I know a lot of people are gonna attack me. Why are you gonna go visit your dad? Your mom wouldn't be okay with it. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I know my mother. And I know my mom had a very forgiving heart. That is my story on plastic surgery. This is my truth. I think the last time I cried like that was when I lost my mom. Like that, like yelling. I was like, no. I was like, oh, and I thought, what did I do wrong? And as always, you'll get my exclusive take on topics like love, personal growth, health, family ties, and more. And don't forget, I'll also be dishing out my best advice to you on episodes of Dear Cheekies.
So my fiance and I have been together for 10 years. In the first 2 years of being together, I find out he is cheating on me, not only with women, but also with men. What should I do?
Okay, where do I start? That's not love. He doesn't love you enough, because if he loved you, he'd be faithful. It's going to be an exciting year, and I hope that you can join me. Listen to Cheekies and Chill Season 4 as part of the My Cultura podcast network, available on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, this is Mel Reid, LPGA Tour winner and 6-time Ladies European Tour winner.
And Kira K. Dixon, NBC Sports reporter and host.
You forgot to say former Miss America, by the way. And we've got a new podcast, Quiet Please, with Mel
and Kira. We are bringing you spicy takes on sports and pop culture, some golf haps, and interviews with incredible people who have figured out how to make golf their superpower.
Or just people we like, plus tales from the road and everything in between. By the way, golf isn't just for the dads, Brads, and Chads.
Yeah, it's actually life's cheat code, and we're not going to be quiet about it on or off the course. We're bringing on some of our friends like Michelle Lee, Heather McMahon, Amanda Baliotis.
So, if you want to keep up with us and hear us yap, tune into our new podcast.
Listen to Quiet Please with Mel and Kira, an iHeart Women's Sports production in partnership with Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment. You can find us on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Presented by Capital One, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
As you all know, astrologically, Neptune has moved into Aries. And I tell you what, it moved into Aries on Sunday, March 30th, and I felt it. And I tell you what, maybe it's a little psychosomatic. It's very psycho-spiritual for me, but I could feel the nuance of the energy shift as the day carried on. I felt a passion and a fire and a spark come through. And then I felt a total confusion as how to and when to execute it. So it started to feel anxiety-ridden and overwhelmed, while at the same time, there was something new being born. And that's what the kind of slow burn of that Aries energy may feel like. The sun is in Aries right now. We've got Neptune joining it, but both Mercury and Venus are back in Pisces. So we are still feeling a stagnation, an inertia where we don't have the data, we don't have the clarity, we don't have the facts. Ride that wave out. Continue to jot down your insights, your ideas. I have a whole list on my notepad of ideas that have come throughout these retrogrades. And instead of executing them, I have been contemplating them. I have been praying about them. Hey, God, I'm inviting you into these seeds of germination, these ideas. Show me clearly and definitively if this is the path forward and whom I need to ask for help in order to accomplish this or carry this out when it needs to be done. I've been asking for the good orderly direction, that acronym for God, around these ideas and insights coming through that I'm a little uncertain of, and maybe sometimes a lot uncertain of the forward momentum and if I take action around them. That energy will come. One more thing I would like to share about the numerology. We are in a 4-month in April, but it's the energy of the 13. If you add the 9 universal year to 4, the 4th month of the year, April, 9 plus 4 is 13. 13 gets a bad rap. 13 is actually kind of an amazing number, and I'm going to break it down for a hot minute here. The energy of the 13 is about regeneration, death, and rebirth. And if you look at the major arcana in the tarot, do you know what the 13th card is? It's the death card. And it gets a bad rap because we think about literal death, physical death. The death card literally signifies change, moving from one form of being to another. That's the message on the death card in the tarot, that you are moving from one state of being to another. What does that sound like? We are moving from one level of consciousness into another. We are moving out of this 3D energy and reality into a 5D existence. And moving more fully into 5D has a different set of rules and ways to look at and engage with things than the 3D linear world does. And so we're still walking between those worlds. And of course, the energy of the 13 is made up of the 1 and the 3. The 1 is very Aries. It's bold. It's me, myself, and I. What do I do? How do I take action? And the 3 is about creativity and joy. And what did I just read in that message from Joel Osteen? How can I bring in more joy? How can I invite my higher power in? So that 1 and that 3, the 13 says we are changing. We are metamorphosizing and moving from one state of being, one stage of life into another. So of course, it's going to feel like change. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It may feel unsettling. Let it be. Surrender to that mystery. But remember to be grounded in the 4. 1 plus 3 equals 4 of what is the next indicated action. What is wise action? What can I do next that feels aligned, that feels enough, okay, and trusting the process. Grounding is very important this month because we have such high frequencies coming in, and I'll share this with you. So I'm recording this on May 31st. It'll come out on April 2nd, March 31st. I just said May. Lord have mercy. I jumped into the future. Okay. We're not even going to, I won't even have them cut that out because it's like, I'm just laughing because Mercury is retrograde. Of course, I said May 31st. I'm recording this on March 31st. And yesterday was when Neptune shifted into Aries. And I was with a group of people last night, and I tell you what, the spirits were loud. Like I was in a room full of people, and I've been doing what I do for a long time, so I am very aware of my aura, my energy field, and energetic boundaries, especially when I'm out in the world. I've shared this with you all before, but when my antenna and my light came on, I could be in the grocery store, on an airplane, and spirits were just bombarding me, and it was like I had to say something, I had to share. That doesn't happen to me that often anymore because my boundaries are clear. I am available for that when I am channeling, when I'm doing what I do and working with clients. But when I am out in the world, I want to be clear and present and grounded in my energy and not absorbing everything from everyone else or hearing all of this chatter. Well, last night the spirits were loud and I was like, what in the world? I was sitting in a room full of people, and I mean, there were spirits everywhere, people talking. I could hear the voices inside people's heads. And I was not interested in what was going on in the least with anybody. I was just trying to like find my own center, and it was very disoriented. I mean, I felt really out of body. I could not ground into my heart, and I kept just breathing. I kept coming back to my breath. And as I was sitting in there, I was doing that rhythm of a 4-second inhale, hold, 4-second exhale, 6-second inhale, 6-second exhale, 8-second inhale, 8-second exhale. And I did that for a few cycles, and I came back into my center, and I could still hear the voices, but I felt more centered and grounded. So what I'm sharing with you, and the reason that I think it's pertinent and relevant for me to state this, the noise is loud. Whether you are sensitive to the voices in and around you and attuned to that, it's wherever you are on the spectrum of your intuition and your psychic extrasensory abilities, the voices are loud. The volume has turned up a notch or two. So grounding and being in your own center is imperative in order for you to be able to take clear action, or else you may feel rushes of anxiety, bouts of massive depression, like really like bottoming out in self-doubt. Look for those extremes. Like if you are driving and then all of a sudden a panic attack hits you or anxiety floods through your body, that's when you invite God in, right? Just like Joel was suggesting, that's when you say, whoa, the volume's turned up and I feel it. Okay, let me breathe. I'm driving. I'm okay right now. My seatbelt is on. I know where I'm going. I know the directions. I know how to stop when the light is red, Breathe and get clear and present and invite your spirit in. Invite your center. Get it, like breathe from your heart. When I breathe a lot of times, I am very focused on my chest, my heart, my lungs, and my heart. I'm also focused on my posture, meaning rolling my shoulders back, chin is up, so there is space for my lungs to fill with air, and that centers me quicker. It also signifies I am bringing conscious awareness into the electromagnetic frequencies of my heart. Do that. The more cognizant you are of that fifth dimensional space, because you're going to feel electricity coming through it. You're going to feel the energies of other people. And what can happen, especially Venus and Mercury both retrograde, is we can get diluted by other people's stuff. And we're getting all these mixed frequencies and signals coming in. It's like having 15 channels on the radio playing simultaneously. Who can decipher that? Not me. You got to single out the signal, and finding the signal is your own signal, your own truth, your own discernment, and be able to center into that. And you may have to do that multiple times a day, but pay attention, come back to your center. And if it shows up for you in the form of depression and really just flat out fear that shows up in inertia, exhale that energy out, shake it off, move your body, move that debilitating stagnation, even if it is just shaking your palms or shaking your moneymaker, whatever it is. Literally, I tell you what, that helps. Take a shower, rinse it off, do something physical if it is showing up in the form of debilitating, crippling depression, where it just feels black and foggy. Shake it out, move it off. You don't have to go run a marathon, just move your body and signal that you're moving the inertia, the stagnation, the heaviness out of your body. And again, focus on your heart. And a good place is just to massage your sternum. Massage the sternum, activate that part of your nervous system that will just create a resonance and a synchronicity there. And breathe, roll your shoulders back, lift your chin up. Those literal actions in your physical body signal a chain reaction chemically to your brain, and it interconnects the heart and the brain and the body. And you'll send a message out in your frequency field that you are fortifying and tuning your radio dial to your unique frequency. That will be helpful. All right, let's talk a little bit astrology and let's go through some dates. April 7th is when Mercury stations direct. Hip, hip, hooray. One thing I will remind you all is probably the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th-ish, as Mercury stations, reorients, and is moving direct. That's when we are primed for glitches, miscommunications, IT issues, scheduling mishaps, any kind of funky business. That's when it happens. So pack your patience, add a little bit of extra time in headed to a meeting or an appointment that you have. If somebody cancels, be flexible and reschedule. If you need to cancel, be accountable to that. Pick up the phone, send a text or an email, whatever you need to do, be accountable to it and cancel if something is too much on your plate or something comes out of the blue, and see if you can eliminate the guilt or the worry or the perfectionism of I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough and fast enough. Because with Mercury stationing direct, and it's stationed direct at 26 degrees of Pisces, first thing in the morning on the 7th, 7:07 a.m., on the 7th, 7:07 a.m. Eastern time. So obviously 6:07 Central time. And then you do the math wherever your time zone is. But it's first thing in the morning. So I tell you what, first thing in the morning on the 7th, boom, I would set an intention or two of clarity, because Mercury in Pisces, while it can be foggy and delusional, it is wickedly creative, and it is connecting the conscious mind to the collective and the unconscious mind. So I would get up and journal that morning. I would get up maybe and meditate, whatever you can do to just clear your mind and connect with something higher, and set an intention that feels aligned for you, and maybe based in these last 3 or so weeks while Mercury has been retrograde, what has shifted and changed within you? What have you been rethinking in your life? What have you really been focused on that's been creating frustration and fear? This is a good time to set the intention that you will receive divine help and you will have clear thoughts and communication moving forward as Mercury moves direct. On April 12th, it's a big old day. We've got a full moon in Libra and Venus stations direct in Pisces. Hip, hip, hooray. So you see why I said the first couple of weeks of April, we go until the 7th, and then Mercury will station, and then we've got Venus stationing on the 12th on the full moon in Libra. So we've still got this revision period happening where things are foggy and we don't quite have all the facts. Mercury retrograde. And with Venus, it's about reevaluation, our values. What have we been reevaluating in our lives and within ourselves? Now we will have the thoughts, the communication around it, and we will have that inside valuable job to take tangible action, because Venus is about tangibility in the material world. Money, finances, resources, relationships. If you've had relationship stuff going on, wherever this has manifested, think back, review, reflect. And as Venus stations direct, know that reorientation period is now coming to a close, where there will feel like and there will be forward momentum. So the full moon in Libra is at 23 degrees of Libra at 8:22 p.m. Eastern time on April 12th. And Venus stations direct not even an hour later at 9:02 p.m. on the 12th. So Venus rules Libra. And even though Venus is in Pisces, this is adding beauty and positive energy flow into this full moon. Libra full moons are, of course, about balance and harmony. And with the sun opposite the moon in Aries, Aries asks us, what do I need to do in order to create greater balance and harmony in my life? The Libra full moon, a Libra full moon in general, is about decisiveness, because Libra can teeter. It loves to look at both sides of things because it seeks fairness. It wants to look at all perspectives before making a decision. And this full moon says, be decisive. Anything in your life, and I would encourage you during this full moon to recognize where you have been indecisive over the past month or so with Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, and not as a negative thing. As you've been being reoriented, now is the time to begin to take direct action and look at where you've been indecisive to point you in the direction of decisiveness and taking healthy action. It's a really great full moon for closure around any kind of projects that no longer serve your highest good, that you're over and done with, that need to be finished up. Unhealthy relationships, it's a really good moon for closure around things, or making a decision, or becoming willing. So if you're not at the point of closure on something, or something unhealthy, a relationship, it can be a business partnership, something that you're under contractual agreement with. It can be a romantic relationship, something going on with one of your children. This isn't about shutting out or cutting out. It's about making a decision to change, and making a decision to change within your behaviors, attitudes, and actions. And you may not be able to take action or have a conversation about it. You may not be ready for that yet, but where can you become willing? And also, hello, we're going to go back to the theme. Where can you invite God in to support you in the action around that and the decisiveness, making a decision? I know for me, once I make a decision that I've been fumbling around and has been creating stress, it's like, boom. Not only is there freedom in that, all of a sudden possibilities become unlimited because I made a firm decision internally from the inside out. And then it's about when the divine or right timing is to take action around that decision. And that feels good. Like there's something about that feels whole and true. It's also a really good full moon for forgiveness. If there is an area in which you need to clean up your side of the street, and remember, the energy of the 4 is about house cleaning of the head and the heart, literally cleaning up some things, reorganizing some things on your desk, in your life, in your house. But this is a good moon for cleaning up your side of the street. If there's an amends you need to make, or if you need to forgive yourself, this is a really great moon for that. And it may just be writing a letter that you never send. It may be getting everything out on paper and burning that paper. It is a good moon. It's a good moon to burn something, by the way, because the sun is in Aries and the moon in Libra, air and fire. It's a great moon for fire rituals, fire energy. So lighting a candle, lighting your incense, burning some sage, clearing energy. I would totally burn some sage and incense and clear your energy. I would sage the heck out of yourself during this moon. I'm going to do it because we've had all of this retrograde energy and clearing of the old. There's a changing of the guard that is happening. We are entering a new epoch, a new era. I can feel it, see it, and I am still translating that language within myself and soul to be able to communicate that. And I've just taken on the attitude that it's exciting, it's adventurous, rather than it's confusing and uncertain. So this is a really good moon to clear. Sage your house, sage yourself, clear that energy, open up some windows and let it out so you feel that the energy around you is purified. There's a purity in it and beautiful. Libra full moons are about beauty. Anything that brings you beauty in your life, do it. Like this is and especially with Venus moving direct, it's time to get your hair redone. It's time to get your nails done, or whatever beauty procedure you want to have. Green light all the way with Venus direct and this full moon after this. Schedule that, whatever, the massage, whatever you want. Not that you couldn't have done it before, but typically rule of thumb during Venus retrograde is don't get a major surgery, or at least a cosmetic one. But anyway, it is a good moon for beauty. So create something beautiful in your life. life. And whether it's going to a play or the movie or a museum and looking at art or getting outside and seeing the electric colors of spring. I'm wearing a green sweatshirt today because there is electric green in Texas right now. We had massive rain this weekend, and all of a sudden the bluebonnets are out. And when I am driving, it is like lime green, neon green, all these hues of green, and the sky has been really dark. It is one of my favorite things when the sky is gray and dark and the grass and the trees are electric green. There's something otherworldly in that to me, and that's beauty. And seeing that and feeling that within my body, that's what we are regenerating. It's spring. Bring on the spring within. Allow your spirit to spring back up, because we have been in a phase of behind the scenes work.
Sometimes as dads, I think we're too hard on ourselves. We get down on ourselves on not being able to, we're the providers, but we also have to learn to take care of ourselves. Arapaho way, you got to pray for yourself as well as for everybody else, but never forget yourself. Self-love made me a better dad because I realized my worth.
Never stop being a dad. That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I'm Camila Ramon, Peloton's first Spanish-speaking cycling and tread instructor. I'm an athlete, entrepreneur, and almost most importantly, a perreo enthusiast.
And I'm Liz Ortiz, former pro soccer player and Olympian, and like Kami, a perreo enthusiast. Come on, who is it? Our podcast, Hasta Abajo, is where sports, music, and fitness collide, and we cover it all, de arriba hasta abajo. Sit downs with real game changers in the sports world, like Miami Dolphins CMO Priscilla Shoemate, who is redefining what it means to be a Latina leader.
It all changed when I had this guy come to me. He said to me, you're not Latina enough. First of all, what does that mean?
My mouth is wide open. Yeah. History makers like the Zucar family, who became the first Peruvians to win a Grammy.
It was a very special moment for us. It's been 15 years for me in this career. Finally, things are starting to shift into a different level.
Listen to Hasta Abajo on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Presented by Capital One, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
If you are more concerned about what your fellow racists think about you, you've already lost.
Hi, I'm George M. Johnson, a best-selling author with the second most banned book in America. Now more than ever, we need to use our voices to fight back. And that's what we are doing on the Fighting Words podcast. Listen to my new episode with the iconic Gabrielle Union. We clear the air about a recent controversy with actor Matthew Lawrence, who claims she reported him on set for refusing to run lines with her.
This is like 2 husbands ago. Like, what are we even talking about?
And I ask her what it's like raising a trans daughter during Trump's second term.
When you offer up the trans community as a sacrificial lamb, if you open the doors to say, well, take these people, now the door is open and they coming for everybody.
Listen to Fighting Words on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheekies, and I'm back with a brand new season of your favorite podcast, Cheekies and Chill. I'll be sharing even more personal stories with you guys. And I know a lot of people are gonna attack me. Why are you gonna go visit your dad? Your mom wouldn't be okay with it. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I know my mother. And I know my mom had a very forgiving heart. That is my story on plastic surgery. This is my truth. I think the last time I cried like that was when I lost my mom. Like that, like yelling. I was like, no. I was like, oh, and I thought, what did I do wrong? And as always, you'll get my exclusive take on topics like love, personal growth, health, family ties, and more. And don't forget, I'll also be dishing out my best advice to you on episodes of Dear Cheekies.
So my fiance and I have been together for 10 years. In the first 2 years of being together, I find out he is cheating on me, not only with women, but also with men. What should I do?
Okay, where do I start? That's not love. He doesn't love you enough, because if he loved you, he'd be faithful. It's going to be an exciting year, and I hope that you can join me. Listen to Chiquis and Chill Season 4 as part of the My Cultura podcast network, available on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, this is Mel Reid, LPGA Tour winner and 6-time Ladies European Tour winner.
And Kira K. Dixon, NBC Sports reporter and host.
You forgot to say former Miss America, by the way. And we've got a new podcast, Quiet Please, with Mel
and Kira. We are bringing you spicy takes on sports and pop culture, some golf hacks, and interviews with incredible people who have figured out how to make golf their superpower.
Or just people we like, plus tales from the road and everything in between. By the way, golf isn't just for the dads, Brads, and Chads.
Yeah, it's actually life's cheat code, and we're not going to be quiet about it on or off the course. We're bringing on some of our friends like Michelle Lee, Heather McMahon, Amanda Baliotis.
So, if you want to keep up with us and hear us yap, tune into our new podcast.
Listen to Quiet Please with Mel and Kira, an iHeart Women's Sports production in partnership with Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment. You can find us on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Presented by Capital One, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
Okay, moving on. So with Venus Stations Direct at 9:02 p.m. on the 12th, you're going to feel the forward momentum. And what I have to say next, I'm smiling because I'm like, bring it, bring it, bring it. On the 16th, Mercury will enter Aries. So it's out of Pisces and it's in Aries. The sun is in Aries, and we will have Mercury in Aries. Neptune is in Aries. There is a lot of initiator energy here. You will be thinking more clearly. You will feel more bold in your thoughts. Watch out for overreaction and aggression, because it can come, but really feel yourself, feel your boldness, feel that vitality coming back to life within you. On the 18th, Mars moves into Leo. Mars has freaking been in Cancer since January the 6th. And look, Mars does not like Cancer. For all you Cancer sun, moons, or rising, I'm a Cancer rising, by the way. Sun, moons, and rising, where you have had Mars work in your chart, and whatever your other astrology is, it may have been working and doing some aspects depending on what your astrology is. If you got a lot of Capricorn energy, there's been some opposition most likely there. But Mars is not comfortable in Cancer. Cancer is behind the scenes, wise, introspective, watery, intuitive. And Mars is out there in the open, moving and shaking and fighting and showing up and showing out. So in Cancer, it's been uncomfortable. It has been reprogramming and rewiring our subconscious, and especially our fears. And I tell you, the biggest thing that I have felt and seen within myself and others is passive-aggressive behaviors. That's probably the biggest red flag to me and what I see with Mars in Cancer, passive aggressiveness, where other people are passive aggressive or I am passive aggressive, meaning really not putting our money where our mouth is or speaking our truth, and, having fights and discussions within our own head and mind versus having that discussion with someone else or gleaning the facts, contempt prior to investigation. Mars has done a number with and on us internally, and once it shifts into Leo, and it will be traveling for the first 6 degrees through its post shadow, which is where it was when it began retrograding at 6 degrees of Leo back in December of 2024, December 6th to be exact. And I don't even have to look at my paper on this. I know these dates in my head because Mars retrograde it's intense, and moving through Cancer felt like more Mars retrograde. And then with having Mercury and Venus, y'all, we've been through a lot. I mean, I feel it. I know you all over there are like, preach. It's what I feel for all of us. And I know in the conversations I have, we're like, we're ready for this. Once Mars moves into Leo, it's like, we're going to be feeling ourselves again. Leo is about creative expression and the joyful expression of each day, being seen, demonstrating our light, our hearts, our generosity, and being comfortable out in the world, reflected, like the world within being reflected externally. Allow yourself to be seen. Show up wholly as you. This momentum will feel really good. Take healthy action, but be creative, be fun, be playful, be spontaneous. Prioritize your play. And that can be as simple in a tough day of prioritizing a perspective of expectancy versus expectation, optimism, and really allowing that to be demonstrated in your actions and through your relationships and out in the world. And with Mars and Leo, there's kind of a I just want to seek pleasure in life, the romance of life, having fun, do fun things, because fun things add a tremendous amount of quality to our very serious, intense life circumstances and nature. And we need that creative outlet to be able to come up and articulate and follow through with the divine solutions, the genius, the wisdom that comes through. That creativity is going to give us the momentum and the passion. And one thing that's coming through is feeling inspired and enthusiastic, feeling a rejuvenation of inspiration and enthusiasm within yourself and your life, and however that is showing up for you. Look for that. Start looking for joy, looking for inspiration and enthusiasm in life, and how you dole that out, how you encourage and inspire and motivate others. And when you feel inspired yourself, who inspires you? On the 27th, we have a new moon in Taurus at 7 degrees of Taurus, and that's at 3:31 p.m. Eastern Time. This new moon in Taurus closes out eclipse season. So officially, as we shift, we're closing it out through the Libra full moon, but it's kind of still got a residue, a trickle of energy there. We're starting a new cycle with the Taurus new moon. And Taurus new moons, it's an earth new moon. It goes very well with the numerology this month, the energy of the 4. Taurus is about the material world, money. Sound like the energy of the 4, right? Money, finances. It's also about sensual pleasures, our material world, material things. This is an exceptional full moon to take some clear action that you want to be sustainable. This new moon is about setting a new precedent in what you are grounding in and what is sustainable. And what's interesting about this, and I want you all to think about this, the dates and the time frame. As Mercury stations direct on the 7th, then we have the full moon in Libra and Venus station direct on the 12th. Between the 13th and this new moon, the 27th, things should be codifying, clarifying. You should have insight. You should have action you're ready to take. The momentum, the inspiration should be rebuilding. So you're going to have more clarified data within yourself and your direction forward. This is a really good new moon to decide what you want to do, what is sustainable for you, and what action you're going to take in the 6 months, 8 months ahead to fulfill that, to move forward. And it's not that there's not forward momentum before, but this new moon to me almost feels like a brand new year. I'm not joking. Like when I was doing the energy and I looked back over the numerology and astrology guidebook and I was like getting into the energies and thinking about things, I'm like, this is like January 1st energy. What January 1st energy should feel like. That's what this new moon feels like. And Taurus energy is slow and steady wins the race. It's about the long game. So it's like something is grounding in. This is a really great new moon for nourishment, meaning nourishing yourself in some way. How do you nourish yourself? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Where do you find nourishment and how do you do that? on a daily basis, and it can be in little ways or big ways. So finding ways to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. Remember that Taurus can get stuck, be stubborn, possessive, and really get stuck in its own system of belief or situation or circumstance. If there is a new moon to get yourself unstuck, this is the one. And if you come to this new moon at the end of the month and you're like, I don't have the answers, and you're still feeling lost and you're not feeling that revitalized energy, this is the moon to say, I am truly ready to be unstuck. Show me the direction forward and give me the clarity and empowerment to take action, to take healthy, sustainable action. I love this new moon. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that all of us by this time, new things are firing and wiring for us, and we're feeling this reconstruction period, this regenerative energy, and we're starting to see it materialize IRL, in real life, because the sun will have moved into Taurus, and I can't remember what date that is. I am not looking at my calendar. It's like the 20th or something when the sun moves into Taurus. We'll write it in the show notes. We'll write the correct date. But with the sun in Taurus and this new moon where the sun and the moon are conjoined, something new is really asking to be nourished within us, within our actions, within our life, and to show up in the material world. It's a really good moon for manifestation, meaning planting seeds and germinating, really writing out clear intentions and becoming willing to make the changes in order for those intentions to do your part, essentially. Whatever the intentions are, you don't just sit back and become a bystander. There's action required in that ask of us when we plant seeds of intention. What is my role, and do I have the courage to carry that out? Last but not least, on the 30th of April, Venus will move into Aries. So Venus will be out of Pisces and into Aries, and we will have that fiery energy that is passionate and romantic and a little bit aggressive in its romance, but it's going to be moving forward. And something has probably shifted within you within intimate relationships, and whether it's around money and finances, because Venus does govern that, or it is relationships, business contracts and agreements, contractual kinds of relationships, partnerships, you're going to have the courage and the boldness to put your money where your mouth is, to take the action and feel like you are setting out, pioneering on a new path, and with creativity, with beauty. The last thing I'll say about this energy, and even as I'm thinking about Venus and Venus moving from Pisces into Aries, thinking about the romance of life. I'm a Libra, and this is something that I've contemplated quite a bit recently, is that I love the romance of life, the poetry of life. And to me, I'll just explain that really simply. It's like, I love the movie You've Got Mail or The Holiday. I'll just give you two simple movies. And you know what I love about those movies? Not only the quick, witty writing, the rom-com, well, Nora Ephron, it is You've Got Mail, that kind of energy. I love the music scores with those, like the music, the visual artistry, like the visual artistry of You've Got Mail in the beginning, a freshly sharpened bouquet of pencils, New York in the fall. Y'all know, like when I say it, you can visualize You've Got Mail, New York in the fall, twinkle lights, those things. And then I think about The Holiday and the visual imagery in The Holiday and the scores and that beautiful house that Cameron Diaz lives in and that idyllic home in the Cotswolds that Kate Winslet's in. And I mean, it's like all of that energy, that visual, the romance of life. And I'm not talking about detaching from the reality of life. I'm saying, where do you see the romance in your life? It's like the electric colors of spring. In real life, you're living in that movie in real life. Do you see your life with a score? You know, a score of music. What is the score of music? that you are playing in your life? What is the theme music that you want to be playing out on this stage of life and in your own movie that you are starring in? What's the score? What is the musical score? What does it sound like in your head? Turn it on the radio. Put it on your Spotify playlist and feel yourself. We are coming back to life, and not coming back to coming into life, saying yes to life and life saying yes to us. I'm excited. I can't wait to hear from all of you and your experiences. Let's enjoy this month. Enjoy the transition and the change, and remember that we are moving from one state of being, one state of consciousness into another, and we are here for this. We're in it right now, in these remarkable times. Play your score, and gosh, just enjoy yourself and be happy that you're alive and that you have gifts to share out in this world, that we need you. We need your energy. We need your light. We are all here for some mystical divine purpose, and it's happening now. Be well, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Soul Sessions. If you've got questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Email us, podcast@soulsessions.me. If you love this podcast and you want to hear more, make sure you're following it, liking and subscribing, and sharing it with other people. Send this energy out. Share it with other people. Remember, you can always get your dose of Soul Sessions. New episodes drop on Wednesdays. You can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok. It's @SoulPathology, or check out soulpathology.com. I appreciate you and your light. Thanks for listening.
If you truly believe in liberation, you have to cover everybody.
Hi, I'm George M. Johnson, a best-selling author with the second most banned book in America. In this week's episode of my new podcast, Fighting Words, I talk with the iconic actress Gabrielle Union about some of her pivotal roles and how to be a good parent in the face of today's backlash against Black and queer communities.
If you are more concerned about what your fellow racists think about you, you've already lost.
Listen to Fighting Words on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey sis, it's Dr. Joy from Therapy for Black Girls. We've had 400 episodes of conversations, growth, and healing. So we're celebrating. Join us for a special episode with internationally recognized yogi Chelsea Jackson Roberts as she shares wisdom on mindfulness, movement, and motherhood.
I waited later to have children, and I still have exactly what I knew that I wanted.
You don't want to miss this special episode. Listen to Therapy for Black Girls on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Tickets are on sale now, y'all, for our 2025 iHeart Country Festival, presented by Capital One, happening Saturday, May 3rd at the Moody Center in Austin, Texas. Don't miss your chance to see Brooks and Dunn, Thomas Rhett, Rascal Flatts, Cole Swindell, Sam Hunt, Megan Maroney, Bailey Zimmerman, Nate Smith. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Are you hungry? Colleen Witt here, and Eating While Broke is back for season 4 every Thursday on the Black Effect Podcast Network. This season, we've got a legendary lineup serving up broke dishes and even better stories. On the menu, we have Tony Baker, Nick Cannon, Melissa Ford, October London, and Carrie Harper Howie turning Big Macs into big moves. Catch Eating While Broke every Thursday on the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite shows. Come hungry for season 4.
From the producers who brought you Princess of South Beach comes a new podcast, The Setup. The Setup follows a lonely museum curator, but when the perfect man walks into his life...
Well, I guess I'm saying I like it. You like me?
He actually is too good to be true.
This is a con. I'm conning you to get the Delama painting. We could do this together.
Listen to The Setup on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.